This morning, we will recognize the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. In our reading from the prophet, we read, "I will cause a righteous branch to spring up, and he shall execute justice. In those days, Judah will be saved, and Jerusalem will live in safety." It was thought that this prophecy was fulfilled in the coming of Jesus. And in the gospel, we see Jesus describing a day of fear, terror, and violence. It is in those days that the children of Israel most desired righteousness, justice, and safety. And in Advent, we desire all of these. When do we most desire righteousness? When do we most desire justice? When do we most desire safety? We most desire righteousness when we do not see it. We most desire justice when we do not experience it. And we most desire safety when we are vulnerable. The École Polytechnique massacre, also known as the Montreal Massacre, was a mass shooting at the École Polytechnique de Montreal on December 6, 1989. A gunman killed 14 women before committing suicide. He began his attack by entering a classroom where he separated the male and female students. After claiming that he was fighting feminism and calling the women a bunch of feminists, he shot all 9 women in the room, killing 6. He moved through corridors, the cafeteria, and another classroom, targeting women to shoot. He killed 14 women and injured 10 other women and 4 men before turning the gun on himself. In his suicide letter, the gunman claimed political motives, blaming feminists for ruining his life. He considered himself a rational person and expressed admiration for the gunman who had mounted an attack on the Quebec National Assembly in 1984 for political reasons. Well, that was 30 years ago, or 29. The Toronto van attack was a vehicle ramming attack that occurred on April 23rd, 2018, this year in Toronto. A man in a rented van deliberately targeted pedestrians, killing 10 and injuring 16. And the incident is the deadliest vehicle ramming attack in Canadian history. The murderer paid homage to another misogynist terrorist who killed 6, including himself, and injured 14 in 2014, fueled by anger that he was an unkissed virgin. He was a cult figure among incels, short for involuntary celibates, a fringe group of men who congregate online to vent frustration that women deny them sex. The Toronto van attack was carried out by a man who identified himself as an incel insurgent. And he wrote, "The incel rebellion has already begun. We will overthrow all the Chads and the Stacys." Chads, of course, were the name that they give to men who have sex, and the Stacys, the name they give to women that deny them sex. The Canadian Criminal Code defines terrorism as an act committed in whole or in part for a political, religious, or ideological purpose, objective or cause, with the intention of intimidating the public with regard to its security, including its economic security, or compelling a person, a government, or a domestic or an international organization to refrain from doing any act. The Montreal Massacre may be described as a terrorist attack against the right of a woman to choose a field of study and a career. Almost 3 decades later, this year, the Toronto van attack may be described as a terrorist act against the right of a woman to choose her own sexual partner. Today, we mark the National Day of Remembrance and Action on Violence Against Women. We most desire righteousness when we do not see it. We most desire justice when we do not experience it. We most desire safety when we are vulnerable. In Advent, we desire all of these. And this morning, as we light our 14 candles, we remember the names of 14 women who were denied all of this.
Genevieve Bergeron. Helene Colgan, 23. Natalie Croteau, 23. Barbara Desjardins, 22. Anne-Marie Edward, 21. Maud Havernick, 29. Barbara Klusnick, 31. Maurice Lajanière, 25. Maurice Leclerc, 23. Anne-Marie Lemay, 22. Sonia Peltier, 23. Michelle Richard, 21. Anne Saint Arnaud, 23. Annie Turcotte, 21.
We remember those for whom righteousness, justice, and safety were denied. We hope for a day in which all will know these gifts. And as a congregation, we pledge not only to wait for these gifts, but to work so that righteousness will be done. Justice will be known. And all can live in safety. Amen. And let us sing together, voices